So tell me about this carnivore diet.
Sure.
Because I had Sean Baker in here, and he talked to me about it, but he doesn't have any science. There's no, he doesn't have any, real tests or any long-term studies or anything like that. And, I'm a person who believes in balance, and I think that you need phytonutrients, you need plant fiber. I think there's a lot of healthy stuff that you get from plants. I'm a big believer in eating meat, though, but all meat. You guys are doing all meat.
Well, I think there's.
I've modified it.
I think there's some holes.
Let's one at a time, boys.
Yeah, I think there's some holes in every diet.
Right.
I think when you go and you make the decision to only eat meat, then some rational thought should come into your head. Maybe when I switch all the way to just meat all the time, maybe there's a possibility I'm going to eat too much meat. And so maybe that would make sense to bring in some fruit and bring in some vegetables just so you're not eating too much meat, for the simple reason vegetables have been shown, and there's, you can get a study to show you anything, but there's a study that's been done on 200,000 people that went on for 14 years, and they studied vegetables. They studied every type of vegetable, and they found that they were more neutral than they were harmful or good for you. They found that fruit was a little bit better for you. And again, you can have any study say anything.
Wait a minute. What is this study?
It's called the Pure Study.
Wait a minute. They said that vegetables are neutral? What does that mean?
They're neutral.
They don't really help you that much.
They weren't necessarily great, and they weren't necessarily bad. I don't
know
in
comparison to what, though?
I don't know what their standard was for what they were looking for exactly, but the main thing they were looking for was it being protective in terms of your heart. That was the main thing they were looking at. So they found out that saturated fat is protective of your heart. They found out that cholesterol is actually protective of your heart. They found out that salt is now it's all without, you can't take in tons and tons of salt, because then something's going to...
Well, salt can kill you. If you eat a pound of salt, you're dead. Salt's one of those things that's really good for you. It's an essential mineral.
To a certain extent.
But if you take too much of it,
So I think
die.
any of these things can be done too far. I jumped on a carnivore diet just to give it a shot and to see exactly what it was about. And
why did you do that? Because you talked to Sean Baker?
Yeah, he was on your podcast. Mm-hmm. I got inspired to do it. He was already doing it. So I was like, all right, let me try it out. I tried it out, got leaner, felt better, and I was like, this is pretty cool.
And why'd you start it?
So I was doing a ketogenic diet for over a year. Lost a lot of weight on that. Was doing great.
You look really good, man. You look very thin and healthy.
I appreciate it.
He looks healthy, doesn't he?
Your face looks healthy.
I still have a long way to go, in my opinion. This is a work in progress, but the reason I did it was really simple. It's a dietary intervention. I went through sobriety, as you know. I was a drug addict and an alcoholic for about 6 years. And when I went through sobriety, that's an intervention. There's something wrong. There's a problem. We need to fix it. So my problem now was arthritis. And I needed something that was like an intervention that would get me from, being arthritic and in pain and not being able to lift to being able to lift. And so some of this might be a placebo effect of me going well, I'm on this diet and I feel great and whatever. Mm-hmm. And so I'm now lifting more. Some of it may be a placebo effect, and that's okay with me if it is, but I feel excellent on this diet, and I think the reason is I'm getting a lot more protein in. I wasn't getting enough protein on keto because I was listening to everybody say, well, it'll knock you out of ketosis if you eat too much protein, and that's what I constantly was being told, but I wasn't muscular. I wasn't being able to put on muscle.
Well, you were constantly testing your blood levels. Were you using a meter?
Yeah, every day about 3 or 4 times. I'm crazy with it because
what would knock you out of ketosis?
The things that would knock me out of ketosis were just mainly anything with carbohydrates. I wasn't really having too much of a problem with protein because I wasn't eating a lot of protein. But there were things that if I cheated on my diet, for example, of course that would usually kick me out of ketosis. But then I also got to a point where you become so fat adapted that you become what we like to call metabolically flexible. Metabolic flexibility just means you can switch from being a fat burner. I'm mostly a fat burner for the most part because I'm eating high fat. But then if I do eat something with sugar in it, it doesn't really affect me that much because I'm
used to it.
90% going with the fat. So I can kind of move back and forth between those two things. But what I realized on the carnivore diet, when I switched over to carnivore, the whole time I was thinking, man, if I could just have an apple, I would feel so much better. Because just eating this steak, it's killing me and it's driving me crazy.
Well, how's it killing you?
just mentally, I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't tough enough to just say, okay, I'll just have steak on a plate. Like
Yeah,
for some
mentally,
reason,
you automatically use intermittent fasting almost because you're like, you don't always have a hamburger in your pocket, or you don't always run through In-N-Out Burger or whatever it might be. But yeah, you end up utilizing some intermittent fasting, and you're like, fuck, man, the only food I have to eat is a hamburger or steak.
That's where I was at,
and
and it was hamburger or steak, and I'm like, well, how about an apple? So I talked to our friend Stan Efferding, who's a bodybuilder, and he's huge, he's
jacked,
and he's also a power lifter, and
51 years old too, and fucking jacked.
Super, one of the smartest guys I know, and he sent me that study that I sent to you with about the fruit. And I don't know if you watched that or not, but basically they did a large scale study with fruit, and they found out that the fruit actually would drive blood glucose down instead of bringing it up when taken with protein like red meat. And so I'm like looking at this going like, well, if it's not going to drive my glucose up, I mean, that'd be the one thing I'm concerned with. Why not have some fruit? And so then I'm talking with Stan about it. He was saying, like, I think fruit is totally fine, and I think you can have as much as you want. And so I sort of switched over.
That sounds crazy, though, because that's sugar. I mean, your body, how is your body not
your body
its blood glucose level?
They've done studies where they've studied fructose. So like everybody thinks fructose is really bad.
Well, they think that because of high fructose corn syrup.
And fructose is really bad when it's outside of fruit.
Right.
But for some reason, fruit has these phytonutrients. It has fiber in it. And those things sort of like protect you from what's going on in the sugar. They actually, there's phytonutrients in fruit, like say an apple. There's certain phytonutrients in there that won't allow your small intestine to like absorb the fat. And so it actually helps you to digest things like red meat that have high fat.
There's cofactors in fruit that help you digest the sugars in them.
And I'm not too sure. I'm not a doctor. I'm a filmmaker, so I start. I'm basically ask a lot of questions to a lot of people and start figuring things out, and then it's trial and error. Right now, I'm in the trial and error part, and it seems like it's been working pretty good. So
now, are you getting your blood work done?
Yes, just got my blood work done from last month, and everything improved from keto to carnivore. I didn't really have any cholesterol issues. I didn't have any. What were my issues?
We've had our blood work done probably 4 or 5 times in the last year or so, I would say.
Yeah.
And not all the numbers are fucking great, but for the most part, it's been pretty healthy. The cholesterol's been good. The triglycerides have been good. This doesn't show up in your blood.
What's not good?
Just it's not in the high range of of what it shows you on the sheet. And then we also had other people.
Minute, for what?
In terms of like the triglycerides and the cholesterol and stuff like that. That's what you're talking about.
Well, like what you're saying? What's not good?
I'm just saying,
not in a high range. Like
I'm saying everything's been pretty good. Like this last time, I did have my. I had one of my markers kind of high.
We both had high C-reactive protein. And we're not sure why, so that's something that we have to like look into.
And what is C-reactive protein?
It's a marker for inflammation, and my C-reactive
specifically of the heart.
Yeah,
not good.
My C-reactive protein.
You both had this.
Mine was really high on keto, but then after I went keto to carnivore, it came way, way down. So I don't know where it is right now.
Yeah, I also had a really high. Mine registered really high out of nowhere. It was totally fine with all the blood work I've had done, and the last one I had done, it skyrocketed. People were saying, well, maybe it's because you worked out beforehand, or
right. You have to be. Were you consistent in when you ate, when you got your test done? Were you guys on a fast?
I trained beforehand, so I might have fucked it up.
Oh, you fucked it up for sure.
Yeah,
the way you train, you
that's
should
what
never
I'm saying.
test yourself after the way you train.
Yeah.
You train like a fucking animal.
The blood work, it's a snapshot in time, and we hear that a lot.
Right.
And I think that that's important to realize and recognize that it's just this one snapshot in time, and we constantly change all the time.
That's particularly important with dietary cholesterol.
Yeah.
I mean, with cholesterol in the blood, the way it registers, if you have a big, fat-filled meal and then go and get a blood test versus you fasting, it's like, how is your body absorbing this is what's really important. How's your body absorbing these essential nutrients, not like what happens right after you eat, because your body knows what to do with that stuff.
My cholesterol was 190, which is good. I mean, they want it to be under 200. But I thought what was really interesting was my HDL went way up from by like 60 points. It went up going from keto to carnivore.
Well, are you eating a lot of fatty cuts like ribeyes and stuff like that?
Mostly
yeah.
ribeyes. Yeah, I'd say
That's
mostly.
what I like a lot of dietary fat. I like a lot of like meat fat. You know,
I think there's a certain point, right? Because I don't know. Before, when I was doing a ketogenic diet, the fat is kind of free flowing because you make your bulletproof coffees and you're just dumping fat and everything.
MCT
You're
oil.
putting butter
Right.
on everything.
Right.
But
Might
when
be
you have
overdoing it, yeah.
when you have a steak, what's really nice about having a steak is you're right about 65 to 75% fat already. Like just
you're
out
eating
of, out of-
corn
out of the
fed.
box. Yeah.
You're eating corn-fed beef. Is that what you're
I
eating?
do. I eat both. I think that the difference between the grass-fed and the grain-fed, there really isn't a substantial amount of proof of how much better that is. I do know that grass-fed beef has 5 times the amount of omega-3.
Yeah.
So you always want to pick grass-fed beef when you can. But a lot of people can't afford it. And also, for me, the best meat is at Costco. That's the best tasting meat that you're going to find. I've been everywhere.
Why is Costco better?
It just tastes the best.
I think they
got the
shop
best.
around for the best stuff.
They have the best
Really?
meat.
I
Yeah.
think they
Costco
do,
does.
yeah.
And it's
So
corn.
fuck some like expensive butcher shop.
It's
Go to
corn-fed.
Costco.
I think Costco's outstanding.
Do you know
across the
Costco
board.
is all organic now too? Mm-hmm. You know
That's a weird word, though.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
word is so loosely defined.
Sure.
What is organic? Well, we didn't spray it with a fucking chemical
Yeah.
right before we gave it to you.
Right.
It's like,
there is a
what is exactly organic?
you have
meat?
to pay to get organic status too.
Right.
That's a weird thing. You know,
Yeah.
you have to pay a lot of money because I remember talking to Bulletproof, and the guy was telling me like you have to Dave Asprey. He's telling me you have to pay money to get recognized as being organic. So
I would
that's
take
some
whatever
sort
that
of-
guy says with a fat grain of
Yeah,
salt.
yeah, sure, I know.
Yeah.
But I'm saying you have to pay to get it to be.
I wonder if that's true.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, it is true.
Is it that you
yeah,
have
my,
to pay? Well, I mean, I'm sure it costs money to get tested and to make sure that you're
Right.
certified.
Yeah, it says something like that. You have to
But-
pay money for it.
I mean, there has to be some sort of a
gotta
test,
be a
and test costs
regulation,
money.
yeah.
I mean, but when you're looking at the standards, like, what does that mean? It means no antibiotics, no added hormones, right? Is that what
Right.
it means?
I
and
believe
for
so, yeah,
food,
for-
it means no pesticides, right?
Yeah.
I mean, excuse me, for plant,
Fruits and vegetables, yeah.
for fruits and plants. What the one thing that concerns me with grass-fed meat is that you're eating. Well, you're definitely getting a more expensive cut, but you're eating an animal that is eating what it's supposed to eat. You
Yeah.
know, when you're eating like. I've had Wagyu beef and Kobe beef.
Right.
It's delicious.
It's awesome, yeah.
But that thing's dead. That's a dying animal. That's like eating a giant fat guy about to have a heart attack. I mean, all that marbling, that's not supposed to happen. Like, you shoot a bison, like a free-range bison, you get a dark ruby red hunk of meat. I mean, and that's a
I'd have
fucking
to say
vibrant
that
animal.
I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
But there isn't science to really support that eating the cow that was fed with soy or corn is necessarily way worse. And so I might just be stupid for waiting for that to come out.
It could
But
be worse.
hold on a second. You just said that there's way more omega fatty acids in grass-fed beef. Omega fatty acids are essential
Sure.
for brain development, muscle development. There's so many benefits to those essential fatty acids. And if those are more present in grass-fed meat, wouldn't you just assume that grass-fed meat is more nutritious?
Yeah, I would say that it has more omega 3.
Right.
It might be more nutritious in that particular way.
Right.
But I say, like, you know, is the cost benefit? You know, the other day I went and bought grass-fed meat from Whole Foods. $33.99 a pound for a fillet. $19.99 a pound at Costco for a fillet. The Costco one is so much better. The one from Whole Foods was almost not edible. Like, it didn't taste good.
It's a real tough piece of meat sometimes.
And so
Tough filet?
at Whole Foods, I don't know why they have crappy meat.
for some reason, grass-fed stuff sometimes
it's
a little
super
tougher.
expensive.
Did you get a sponsorship for Costco right before you came here
No,
today?
no.
We did
I
actually
am
nail it.
super suspicious.
No
We nailed it.
sponsorships. But what I'm saying is that I've gone to a lot of places to try to find what meat I thought tasted
Right.
the best, and you know, so for me, sometimes I have to you have to eat a lot of meat. And if it doesn't taste that good, you're not going to get through it. So I prefer to have meat that tastes better. I like, for grass-fed meat, I like to use grass-fed beef patties because they're a little fattier and they just taste really, those taste
easier
fine
to
to
eat,
me.
yeah.
You know, but the grass-fed steaks they don't really taste as good. So I just kind of switch back and forth.
I think these are some of the smaller issues. These aren't the main things that we're really trying to fight. You know, my brother and I, we just took on to do another film, and he and I are doing this one together on nutrition. And we're trying to find out some truths. I mean, we're trying to find out about grass-fed and organic and all these different things. But mainly, we're just trying to figure out how the fuck do we help fight obesity? How do we help fight diabetes? How do we help people gain control of their diet? And I think that's really, truly what we're talking about is control. And you look at something like a ketogenic diet, in my opinion, it's one of the few diets that can really help people with control of their diet because it can help break up the cravings. And that's really ultimately, I think, where our fight is against cravings of all these convenient foods that taste so fucking good.
Well, the cravings
that are in our face
of
all the time.
refined carbohydrates and sugars.
Absolutely.
Those are giant.
Yeah.
I watched a documentary called What the Health. Have you seen it?
It's filled with a lot of propaganda. And
Ah,
nonsense.
propaganda. Damn, those guys
It
again,
is.
like the Nazis. I remember them.
They used a lot of discredited studies, and there's a lot of epidemiology studies that'll connect things. That
Epidemiology, what does that mean? Like an epidemic?
Well, we could pull up what the actual.
It's about time
definition
Jamie
of
pulled something up in this
epidemiology,
episode.
but the way I would describe it is, they would do these studies, and essentially it would be they would ask you what you eat on a daily basis, how often do you eat meat, and it's basically a survey. And in that survey, they would say, well, there's a direct correlation between people that eat meat and diabetes. So let's pull up the definitions.
Oh, I see.
But the problem is, what is causing here? A branch of medicine which deals with incidence, distribution, and possible control of diseases and other factors relating to health. So when they're dealing with incidents, right? They're dealing with how often do you eat red meat? How often do you eat this? How often do you eat that? And then they find, oh, well, there's more instances of diabetes in people that eat meat. Okay, but is it people that eat meat and vegetables, or is it people that eat meat and vegetables and Diet Coke and sugary sodas and ice cream and French fries? And how are they eating their meat? Are they eating cheeseburgers from some bullshit fast food place, or are they eating grass-fed steak? Are they eating grass-fed steak and vegetables? And there's very little evidence that shows there's anything wrong with eating meat if you follow a normal, healthy, what they would call a primal diet.
Yeah.
Meaning, cut out all the grains, cut out all the sugar, cut out all the bullshit, eat vegetables and meat. And there's almost nothing. I mean, unless you have some very unusual, rare condition where you're either allergic to meat or you have some very strange digestive system where you have allergies to it, or you have real problems digesting it, or you have real problems with high cholesterol foods, which is very rare as well. Most of what you're getting is vegan propaganda, people that want other people to be convinced that the way that they're living is the correct way, and that eating meat is physically bad for you and is causing all these harms. What's causing all the harm for people physically is the modern American diet, and that's been pretty established.
Yes, that's right. And there are clear ethical reasons to be vegan in that it takes you out of the exploitation of animals. But that documentary, What the Health, that I watched was like, and I've been vegetarian for years, and and I've gone back and forth to veganism because I feel, God, Jesus Christ, man, there's enough things in my life I'm not doing without not being able to have an egg without feeling guilty.
But you could have
for fuck's sake.
pasture-raised eggs if you get them from a good farm. The chickens are just hanging out.
I've got chickens in my garden. I'm not confident in these animals and the way they go. Well, one by one, slowly, my dog's eliminating the gift of life.
I've had that a few times.
Terrible feeling.
I lost 9 of them to coyotes just last month. Maybe 2 months ago.
That's a pretty heavy.
It was a heavy toll. Yeah. Well, we had a fire out here, and the chicken coop burnt down. We got a smaller chicken coop, and the coyotes figured out how to get into it when we weren't home, and we came home to just feathers everywhere. It was disgusting.
Oh, that's brutal.
They're brutal little monsters, those coyotes.
Yeah,
But,
they're ungovernable.
They're the reason why we don't have rats everywhere too.
All right, so hey, it's the circle of life. The Lion King was right. So, the thing about that vegan documentary, mate, is that it tuned in to my pre-existing belief when it said stuff like, oh, the Diabetes Association, they are funded by these meat and dairy organisations and these pharmaceutical companies. The Cancer Organisation similarly accepts donations from these organisations. And it made me recognize, like, my pre-existing idea that I come to it with is, like that whole pyramid of these are the things you should eat. Bread, milk, it just were the things that it was easy and cheap to produce and that were profitable.
Well, they used to think that. They really did used to think that bread and grains were the most important thing.
Do you think they felt that?
I think they did. I think they thought it was filling and it provided energy, and I don't think they understood. Well, there was no talk of gluten intolerance when we were young; it didn't exist, and there was no understanding of excess carbs and how excess carbs leads to excess body weight, and it makes you store fat. And people didn't think about it that way; they didn't understand. There was. The thing about nutrition is that nutrition science is it's a body of knowledge that's constantly added to.
Yeah, and in fact, perhaps most things are. Who knows what misapprehensions and ignorance we toil under that will be revealed to us.
I don't have the discipline to sit in class and listen. I was too spastic. I wasn't interested in what they were
crazy
teaching.
that you can't sit in class and listen, and yet you can do a double-header 3-hour podcast.
That's not hard. We're talking about cool shit. You're a cool guy. You're fun to talk to. It's not hard.
It's the way the material is delivered, huh?
And the last one was, what you'll see, but it's way more these two guys talking than me.
Oh.
I mostly moderated and mostly wound up agreeing with the guy who made the Game Changers documentary. Mostly with what he was saying in terms of science. In terms of whether or not it's healthy to eat 100% vegan diet. According to everything he's showing me, it is.
It is?
Yeah, according to everything he was showing me, and he had as much science as you could.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of doing it properly.
Mm-hmm. After listening to Kevin Smith on your show, I've considered trying to do like a vegan month or a vegan week or something. I haven't gone through with it yet, but I'm probably gonna.
I think it's different for different people too. I really do. I think some people have real issues with it. Some people have gotten off the vegan diet and they've quit, and they were
feel like I should eat a little less meat. Really?
Well, I mean, I think it's different for everybody too, man. I think some people could do it with no problems, and I think other people struggle more. And I don't know why. I'm not a nutritionist, but I know that a lot of people that wind up trying it out eventually give up. It's like 84%.
I know a
of people
couple
start.
ex-vegans, yeah. But I don't have like a moral judgment for it or anything. I just feel like maybe it's something worth trying because I eat a lot of meat.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get, I wrote a business plan for my new place, as you do when you have a new business. And the first thing on the business plan is by my 40th birthday, I want to be the healthiest I've ever been.
Well, I don't think cutting meat out is the move. See, this is what I think about all this. Like, I think you can definitely be healthy and be a vegan. According to everything this guy was showing me, everything James Wilkes was showing me.
I don't really want to be a vegan, but I like meat.
I
have no moral qualms with it, and I like how it tastes. I don't want to be a vegan, but I thought maybe if I did it a little bit, I could at least try.
Health-wise,
it makes a difference?
No, I think the real thing to do is omnivorous diets. And I think this is one of the things that we proved today in this conversation between Chris Kresser and James Wilkes, is that the omnivorous diet is like a natural healthy thing. You can do a vegan diet, though. You can do it right. According to everything he was showing me today, and I believe this too, if you're just doing it correctly, if you monitor your nutrient levels, you take, vitamin B12 supplement, which is something he advocates. I was like, that makes sense to me. But I don't believe that meat's bad for you. I think that sedentary lifestyle, shitty foods, people have been eating meat since the beginning of time. This is how we became people. And literally one of the primary theories for why the human brain got so big so quick was that they started hunting. We had more access to protein because we were cooking things with fire. And we learned how to hunt better because our brains kept growing as we're just figuring out the throwing arm. They think was a possible factor, like somehow or another, the ability to throw something at something and kill it, like made us much more productive as hunters.
We can kill from farther away. That's key.
Because we're so weak.
Oh, compared to like animals?
Yes.
Yeah. An animal would fuck us up. So any even a small-ish animal would fuck us up so bad.
A deer will kick your fucking ass, man. A deer just kicking at you. Oh my God.
Yeah, I get it. We need some help. We need some weapons.
I wonder what we were like though. I mean, imagine going back and seeing what a person was like when we started becoming people. How fucking freaky would that be? Like, I
feel like we'd be like scared of everything.
Oh my God,
just real scared.
But like, what would it be like to just hang out in a tribe of Neanderthals and see what they were like a different kind of person?
Yeah, I wonder if it would be, like mentally freeing. You know what I mean? You're singularly focused on food and shelter and not, I don't know if you have you don't have a lot of like the fucking worries that we have, but so it could be awful simple. But at the same time, the constant fear of starving and freezing to death, that would be shit.
All of it's bad. Everything's bad.
We're gonna get. Don't worry, we're gonna get there,
no
dude.
air
We're
flight.
gonna end up in Waterworld pretty fucking soon.
Dude, don't
Yo,
say it. So now that you're not keto, what are you doing with your diet? You trying to be healthy?
No, not really.
Fuck
No,
being
no,
healthy.
but it definitely has made me understand sugar more.
You're still smoking cigarettes?
Yeah, I'm vaping a lot more, but yeah.
How much cigarettes do you smoke a day?
Half pack.
Still a lot.
Yeah. But I don't smoke in my car, so my cigarette has gone down like
Because of that?
Because of that, like
That's good.
75%.
That's good.
Yeah.
What would you think if we decided to do that as a project? Hire you a trainer and hire you a nutritionist. Would you be down with that?
Sure.
Like film it as a project?
Yeah.
What would you like? What do you weigh now? What would you don't have to tell everybody, but what would you like to get down to?
But see, that's the problem. When I got down, like 15 years ago or 13 years ago, whatever. I think that was like 65 pounds or something, and I just thought I looked like I had AIDS or something.
Well, you're just used to yourself looking big.
Yeah, but I think some people like they have a body shape or look that looks way better with a little chub on them than they do if they look. I don't know. I feel like I look like
you know what Joey Diaz said when he lost a lot of weight? Remember
Yeah.
when he lost a lot of weight? My fucking head looked too big.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know what that is? It's like you got to build up your body. Because something happens to people when they gain weight, your head gets bigger. It's like when people get really heavy, their head gets bigger. And I don't know if like a biologist can back us up on this, some sort of science, but it seems like really overweight people, their head gets really big too. Like it grows with them, which kind of makes sense because there's like your bones definitely get bigger and thicker when you lift a lot of weights, right? Now, when you're 450 pounds, you're carrying weight everywhere you go. So everything's got to be thick. Like I always said, if Ralphie May wound up losing all that weight, he'd be able to kick a hole through a fucking wall because that guy's carrying around 500 pounds everywhere he goes. Yeah. His leg muscles had to be gigantic. Like underneath all that, his legs must have been fucking huge. So if you could just put some muscle on while you're losing the fat, see, that's the difference. Like
right.
when you were on that, you look great then, dude. Look at you, sexy bitch.
Now look
How
at the
could
one.
you think you look bad?
No,
there?
well,
Stop.
That's an
Stop.
okay. That's an okay picture.
Stop it! You're a handsome, beautiful man.
I was thinking more
Come
of
on,
the
how
one.
good does he look, Jamie? How good does he
great.
look? You
Looks
look.
great.
You look fucking great there.
I was thinking more of the time when the photo of me and you with that weed guy that died at the 420 Awards, where I just looked like an 8. That's when I was at my lowest.
The weed guy that died.
The one that has all the shit. I can't even think of his name. He has weed named after him. He's very famous.
Jack Herrera. Yeah, he had a stroke.
Yeah. We were
a picture
hanging
of
out
you
with
there?
him, me and you, and that's when I was at my skinniest. I think I was like 160, 155 or something like that. I don't even
Right.
remember. But that I just looked like a
Didn't you
sick
feel
dog.
so light though when you move around?
Yeah, I
like you could
guess
just
so.
get places quicker.
Yeah.
Like, oh, lighter.
Definitely had more energy, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
Dude, you can do this. What would you think about doing this as a project? Like we'll announce it on the podcast. We'll start it off. Would you be into doing something like that?
Yeah, I mean, eventually, not like this month because I have to go to Australia and
Why
all
would
this
I
shit.
start it now?
Well, I have to go to Australia. I'm going to be out of the country.
When you going back? What you doing, Kill Tony out there?
Yeah, doing Kill Tony, and then yeah. So this month is all I'm on the road. Almost.
Okay.
I was talking to one of my buddies, and I've been having a really good time with my son making stuff. And he said, "Man, I know this may sound crazy, but this Corona shit." He said, "You and your son will look back one day, and you're gonna be like, hey, Dad, remember when we made that slingshot when the Corona was out?"
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, and it's like, you know, the memories are gonna be there all type of ways.
Yeah, you're building memories that you wouldn't have ordinarily built.
Yep.
As long as you're alive and as long as you're healthy. I think the positive side of this, you could always look at the negative side, but the positive side is look how many people are complying. Look how many people are doing the right thing.
Right.
That's
A lot of people.
A lot of people, and they're doing the right thing because they care about their loved ones.
But then people
and
aren't-
hopefully they care about your loved ones.
And people aren't complaining as much. People not there like, fuck it, that's what
I
it
mean,
is.
some people are hurting financially. A lot of people losing their businesses. They're hurting. But the amount of strife, the amount that you see in the streets as far as like riots and protests, it's non-existent. People are understanding we're all fucked. This is like, we didn't see it coming. We all got to deal. I just hope this makes people realize that all that pull them up by their bootstrap stuff, like people love to think that that's how people should be. You know, you should just pull yourself up by your bootstraps, go out there and fucking make something for yourself. That's all true. You definitely should go out there and try to accomplish some goals. But there's going to be times in our lives as a community where some shit goes down and it's not anybody's fault, but they need help. And that's when we have to evaluate what our taxes go to. Because if our taxes don't go to some form of excellent, very accessible healthcare and making that more widespread, then you're basically saying you don't really care about people's health and their survival as much as you care about money. Now, if we're going to commit to that kind of a culture after something like this, well, we're insane. We're not learning anything. We should learn something from this. And what we can learn from this is, like, health-wise, we were not prepared. Whether it's through hospital beds, ICUs, ventilators, social distancing protocols, whatever the fuck it was, we weren't prepared for something like this. But now that we are, we should all go, hey, yeah, you know what, man? No one should not have the money to pay for treatment for this.
So what do we do? What do we do, Joe? What do we do? What do we do?
Change the way we look at our services.
It sounds like you said we got to change thinking, period.
Change thinking, but also change what our money should go to. Our money's got to go to that. It's got to go to that. Like, that's very important for everybody. When people get sick, it spreads to all of us now. We don't want ever to know anyone that you love that's going to die because they can't get health care that's available for people that have money. That we got to stop that. Just like we stopped with the fire department. The fire department goes to people's houses when the fire's on fire because they're worried. Hold on a second. Fire department goes to a house when it's on fire because not just to that house, they don't want it to spread through the whole city. They go. Well, that's the same thing with healthcare. If someone's really sick, if they don't help you and you got coronavirus, you spread it to everybody else, right? You don't get the health care, so you're contagious. It's almost like a fire in a lot of ways, like a viral fire.
But aren't we living in a system where everybody is qualified to have health care?
We should be.
So what is covered California? What the fuck is that all about then?
I don't know, man. I mean, if you think about how much money gets spent on things, right? Whether it's computers, whether it's cars, whether it's houses, whether it's the things that people buy, how much of a percentage of that, if you could escalate it just a little bit and all of that money goes into just healthcare, not just taxes where no one's accountable, you don't know where the fuck it's going to go. What if everybody's dollar cost $1.05? Just an added 5 cents for most things you buy up to a certain point, and all that money goes straight to healthcare. Wouldn't you be willing to pay, instead of $1.05 for something, if you knew that 5 cents was going to go towards healthcare? That's
what? As a business person, that 5 cents may mean a lot to me as a business person.
You're right. It might.
That's what I'm saying. That's it. That might be for. I can't know. I look at that $1.05. That's only 5 cents. Now, if you talk about that being billions and millions, then
that's why I said up to a certain point, up to a certain amount of money.
Right.
I mean, after a while.
I agree with you.
Yeah. It seems like it would be better for everybody. And it would be better for us to not worry about what happens if you get sick because you don't know if you're going to be able to pay for it. Sometimes people get hit with crazy medical bills after, an unexpected injury or an unexpected disease, time in the hospital. They got a huge bill that they can't fucking pay. It's real common that people go bankrupt because of that kind of shit. That you guys have
lower tuition.
Yeah, way lower. That healthcare and student.
We pay for it with taxes, right?
Yeah, but it's worth it. I mean, I've said time and time. Look, I believe in a hybrid form of governing, in a hybrid form of culture. And I think that I support a lot of socialized ideas.
Sure.
And one of the reasons why is because I see socialism work with the fire department, with the police department, with things that we all agree that we're going to chip in and pay for. And the fact that we don't do this with healthcare, that, if my neighbor gets sick, the community has to chip in. God damn it, that guy's been paying taxes his whole life. He's a viable part of the community. We should be taking care of our own. This should be a primary thing, like this, to strengthen our community, to strengthen our civilization. One of the primary things is we should be taking care of each other physically. Right. That should be, like, above all, right? Education. You shouldn't have to fucking be in debt $250,000 if you get a fucking education. Don't we want less losers? Don't we want more people to have education? Don't we want more people to have some sort of pathway to success? Wouldn't that just logically lead to a stronger economy, a stronger community, a stronger civilization? Wouldn't it? Wasn't that logical?
Let me give a devil's advocate answer. To the extent that there are now no longer any barriers to entry to get into university, certainly in Canada, at least not a financial one, you get, I think, a misallocation of talent and resources where everybody feels compelled to go to university, where in reality, many of the folks in question, and believe me, I'm the last guy to argue against education, right? I'm all about lifelong learning, but it doesn't have to be through the formal channels of getting a degree.
Right, but it's not compulsory.
Well, it is compulsory unofficially in that it is now no longer acceptable to not have at least some entry-level degree.
Well, then we should concentrate on that as an issue.
Right. Okay.
That should be the issue, not this idea that somehow or another education should be expensive, so it should be difficult, so it should be something that's only sought out by people who really deserve it.
Fair enough. So I agree. The barrier to entry shouldn't be that it's the finances that don't allow you to pursue your interests.
Yeah.
But I know, just as a professor for 25 years now, there are students that I see very early in a given semester that I know they're not there for or they're not there for intrinsic reasons. Right?
Yeah.
They just don't have the sparkle in their eyes, and no amount of coaxing on my part is ever going to bring them out. I try. I think everybody's redeemable, but you can tell that they're there because they don't have it. Maybe those people would have had a much more lucrative trajectory where they pursue trade school. So I think we have to also be careful about how to allocate the talent that we have.
No, that absolutely makes sense, and I think that is most likely played out over the difficulty of pursuing an education.
Right.
Just like it is with everything else.
Right.
Everything else, like whatever you try, if you want to be a stand-up comedian, it's not everybody gets to do Carnegie Hall. Like there's a weeding out process of the difficulty of achieving success. And there's a lot of people that fall by the wayside and don't make it. And this is just natural. It's a natural part of the process. But if you say, not everybody's a comedian, that's true. But open mic night's available to everybody.
True.
And that's why there's so many comedians that actually are good, because they do find it through, because there's no financial barrier to entry. If it cost, $35,000 a year to pursue an education in comedy, and you had to be $200,000 in debt before you could make a living on the road.
Right.
There wouldn't be a goddamn thing to laugh at. There wouldn't. There'd be none of us.
Right.
There'd be zero of us. And that's not a good it's not a good example, because obviously comedy is one of the rare things that is a self-educated process. You're self-taught. There's no other way.
Right.
You just have to pursue it. But I think there's the rigidness of university studies, the rigidness of courses, of determining what people should and shouldn't learn, what they should and shouldn't be educated in, and also the randomness of the professors that you get. Like, you could get and get a wonderful education, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Or you can get some dipshit and get taught about, how gender is a social construct.
Right.
And, and you're sitting in class all baffled, looking at your penis going, what have you done to me, you fucking monster? John and I were talking about that the other day. Like, there's nothing like calling the UFC fights, because you start, if it's in Vegas time, you're starting the fights at 3 p.m., and you're going all the way through to the pay-per-view. You're doing like 6 hours plus of commentary, and then you got to find times to run to pee. Because sometimes it's like I have to tell the truck, can I pee? And then you got to, because I'm drinking Monster Energy drinks, and I'm taking nicotine pouches, and I'm fucking fired up, and I'm drinking a lot of water too. I'm drinking my hydrogen water, and I have to fucking pee so bad. There's nothing worse when you're trying to form a sentence and you have to pee.
Dog,
you can't think.
It has been brutal for me. Brutal. When I eat mushrooms, I gotta pee every 20 fucking minutes.
Why?
And if I'm in a car, I gotta pull over and pee. And I gotta make sure I'm not in the sexual fucking territory. Like, I don't pee close to schools, churches, fucking parks, because then they throw you under the bus for sexual whatever.
Yeah.
And you gotta be careful. But dog, I'm in a world where there's some weeks are better than others. I don't get up at night to pee, but in the daytime, especially if I work out and I start drinking that water, oh, baby, I got to start peeing. And when I got sick, this was the beauty of it. Every time I had to pee, I'd get anxiety. I would get a panic attack. I couldn't even make it to the bathroom to walk.
Really?
I was peeing my pants on the way to the fucking bathroom, Joe. You have no idea that the last week of February, when I went to the hospital in March, that was possibly that Saturday night, my blood pressure was 212 over 100, and my oxygen level was at 86. And I wouldn't go to the hospital because I didn't want the ambulance coming to get me at 4 in the morning in front of my daughter. So I waited till 8, and then I drove myself to the hospital. I was fucked up, bro.
Wow.
That was a fucked up couple months, man. I didn't know what was going on.
And what did they determine it was?
It was, I had congenital heart failure when you have fluid in your lungs, edema, whatever. I was retained. Bro, I walk around, right now I'm 278. I was 265 all summer because I was really happy every day. I would go, look, I could fight in the UFC. When I walked into the hospital, I was 319.
Oh, you got big.
I got big in a month.
Oh.
Like a month. And I wasn't eating in the hospital, nothing.
What were you, was it like Italian food? Like what got you so big?
No, I was just retaining water. Edema is when you retain water.
Oh.
Like big time
that much water?
Oh my God, Joe. And my lungs was getting the water, so I couldn't breathe. And then when I would it went from me just having to stop. Like if I would walk from here, I wouldn't make it to your bathroom. Couldn't make it to your bathroom. I would have to stop in between and take like a 5-minute break. Meanwhile, holding my peeing.
Oh, Jesus.
And your fucking stress level's going up and up because you're holding your fucking peeing. It got to the point I would walk into ShopRite, get what I had to get, but now I got to stand there because I got to fucking pee from the walking.
Oh, no.
And the bathroom's a mile away. There's no walking. You just take your dick out and pee. There's no even...
Oh, my God.
In those days, it wasn't even getting the container from the car because I started bringing the container in the car. There was no time. You just get out, open the car door, and make believe you're waving at somebody. And you take your dick out, and you're peeing, or I make believe like I'm getting something from the back of the car. The whole time I'm peeing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, man. So as soon as I went in, they put me on these fucking things for 3 days, and I lost like 20 pounds of fluid. It was fucking amazing. I was peeing one of those full things, 1 an hour.
Really?
Couldn't even make it to the bathroom. I would just get up and fucking pee in it, fill it up. And then they did a nuclear blood test. And they had to take out, I don't know, fucking 6 tubes of blood in 45 minutes. And that's when they came back and they go, you got 65%. You're overloaded on fluid in your body. You're retaining that much water and your blood cells are off the charts. So we got to start draining. I started draining. They were taking, I don't know how many tubes from me every 3 hours of blood.
Wow.
Look at my fucking arms. They're fucking banged up. I was a fucking heroin junkie. So when I got out, I started taking it. Listen, when you end up in a hospital, there's a problem. Okay? There's a problem.
Yeah,
you cut a stitch, that's not a problem. You had a situation. That's how I looked at it. There's a problem here. We got to get to the bottom of this fucking.
And what is the bottom of it? What's the cause of it?
I was taking MK677.
What is that?
And it's a amino acid peptide which mimics growth hormone in your brain. And it had a lot of dumps, like it would do insulin dumps and all this type of shit. And it was raising my sugar. It was doing a ton of shit. I didn't even know it. But this ain't the first time it happened. It happened when I was doing testosterone when I was 50. I had a rush of red blood cells, and I was in D.C., and I had the worst fucking migraine headache for days. And they took blood out, and they go, you got too many red blood cells.
Wow.
So that's why I can't do any of that shit. And it's like the man said, if you're going to do growth, do growth. Don't get something that's going to mimic growth.
What Ways to Well can do for you...
What's that?
What Ways to Well could do for you will change your fucking life.
Yeah, no.
We get you a full blood panel and figure out what's going on, adjust your nutrition, adjust your
I love
vitamins.
Bringham's a good fucking man.
He's the best.
And he loves what he does.
Losing their job, maybe one of those things could also cause this trigger.
Well, we know with all mental health, all aspects of mental health, all mental health problems, there are 3 kinds of cause, right? There's, in my book, Lost Connections, which is about depression and anxiety, is a lot about this. There are biological causes, things like your genes, real brain changes, things like the introduction of a drug, There are psychological causes, which are how you think about yourself and your place in the world. And then there's environmental causes like, how we live with each other, things like loneliness, that sort of thing. And in all mental health phenomena, to some degree, these three sets of causes play out. So let's think about even something very dementia. Dementia obviously has a heavy biological driver, right? Dementia is a physical degeneration of the brain or a disease like Alzheimer's. But even with dementia, which has this very heavy biological driver, we know there are big social and psychological effects that can mitigate it. So if you're part of a strong community and have lots of social connections, if you have a positive self-image, if you speak other languages, your dementia will develop significantly more slowly than if you don't have any of these factors, right? So with things like psychosis, there's a brilliant person called Professor Tanya Lerman at Stanford University, who's done really interesting research on this. I haven't looked into it in great detail, but I interviewed her, who's shown, so we know recovery from psychosis and schizophrenia is much stronger in African countries than it is in the United States, right? And it's not a genetic thing because Africans who come to the United States end up having the American level of recovery, not the African level of recovery. And again, it's a while since I spoke to her, and I don't want to overstate my confidence about this, but there are people, I think, including her, who argue in part what's going on is, in many, not all, some places it's really brutal, but in many parts of Africa, you remain part of the community even if you have these mental health problems, right? They have much stronger social connections. It's a study that asks Americans, how many close friends do you have who you could turn to in a crisis? And when they started doing it years ago, the most common answer was 5. Today, the most common answer is none, right? It's not the average, but it's the most common answer. Half of all Americans asked how many people know you well say nobody, right? It's a huge amount of evidence. Loneliness is toxic for human beings. Lonely people, as a guy who did a lot of experiments on this here in LA, lonely people exposed to the flu virus and the cold virus and the colds are way more likely to actually get them than non-lonely people, right? It's just devastating for your physical and mental health to be lonely. There's other things going on. So I think there's a whole range of things that are going on with all mental health problems. I don't know how this relates to cannabis and psychosis. I don't know. But we know with psychosis, there's a big debate about this. Immigrants are more likely to have psychosis than non-immigrants. There's a whole, lots of environmental factors playing out, even in extreme mental health problems like, now I want to stress they're not the only thing. There are real biological aspects as well, which are clearly very significant in things like schizophrenia and play some role in things like depression for a lot of people. But yeah, does that make sense?
I mean, sort of, yeah. I mean, obviously there's varying biological factors, but the cultural factors make sense. The fact that these people in Africa are not, they're not expelled from the community. So they have a sense of bond, and maybe it's more easy to recover. And one of the things that you hear about, part of the problem with mental illness is that people with mental illness are pushed away. People don't want to deal with their problem, and it exacerbates whatever is causing it in the first place.
You did those episodes on the Game Changers, with James Woods, and it was fascinating to watch because I watched that movie, and nutrition is also like diet is such an important part of what we do to ourselves that we don't think, and especially in a time of COVID where so many people, like you say, like when you see what this does to people with type 1 diabetes or with other kinds of, conditions that might be caused from either poor diet or lack of access to, healthier options and things like that, you realize like, shit, we've put ourselves in a very vulnerable position.
Yeah, very vulnerable.
With how we eat.
Andrew Schultz had a really good point. He said this pandemic highlighted the vulnerabilities both in our economic system and in our health system, like the way we are as human beings. Who's vulnerable? The obese people with diabetes, older folks. I mean, it highlights all these issues where we really need to concentrate on for the future. If you want more people to survive this, there are strategies that can be implemented, and we really need to talk to people about just being normal stuff, being well hydrated, making sure you're not dehydrated, well rested. Teach people meditation techniques. It's not hard to learn some breathing exercises that have been actually proven to increase your immune function. It's not hard to teach people about vitamin D and supplementing it if you can't go outside.
So how do you get people then to take action? Because here's the other thing you remember, like people's lives are hard.
Yeah.
when you're talking about like what we talked about earlier, like economic inequality, you know, it's hard to go into an area where they feel like, shit, I don't know where my next meal's coming from, and be like, so here's what we're going to do. We're just going to sit and breathe quietly for 5 minutes, and everything's going to, you know, it's a really difficult, it's like hierarchy of needs, you know. How do you work into the idea that those types of theories are actually important to the betterment of like, and the stability of the larger part of their life when they're fighting so hard just to stay afloat?
Yeah, that's an interesting point, and I think what you have to do is it has to be, first of all, told by people who are doing it successfully. So people that are doing it, that like maybe were struggling with their immune system and turned it around and got healthier, like those people are the ones that the people that are in a bad position right now, they really respond to when it comes to, there's an emotional connection with, if you see some guy and he's on the cover of Men's Health magazine and he's ripped and he starts talking about fitness, you're like, get the fuck out of here. I can't relate to you. I'm never going to look like that. But if you see someone who is in the situation that you're in currently and they turned it around.
You already look like that.
Well, not me, but listen, I've been working out my whole life. I've never stopped. But if someone is fat, I'm talking from their perspective, and they see some guy who's really thin and chiseled, then it's not going to make sense to them that they could ever be like that. But if they see someone, there's a lot of really fantastic photos and Instagram and Facebook pages online where you can get inspiration from someone who actually stuck to a diet, actually stuck to an exercise routine, and then speaks really well about how much it improved the way they feel, their emotions, their depression, all the aspects of their life. And that's, I think, one of the more, like David Goggins is a great example of that. I use him all the time because he's this incredibly inspirational guy who is a Navy SEAL. And at one point in time, he was 300 pounds. He was drinking milkshakes. And he puts those pictures of himself on Instagram all the time just to let people know, hey, I'm not some alien. I'm a person who is weak, just like you. I was lazy, I got fat, and then I figured out how to train my mind to be disciplined, and I figured out how to be happier. And I think that that's really important for people to see that we're not in a static state. We're all in a constant state of improvement and growth, hopefully, or deterioration if you're not careful.
But does that, you know, the thing that I worry about those sometimes is, similarly to economic distress, does it make a person's health be a function of their virtue? Does it take something that is beyond a lot of people's control? That isn't that a little bit of like, hey man, if you just pull your pants up, you could do it. Like,
no, it's not. It's, you know what it is?
Wrong way.
I know what you're saying, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's I did this, and I can show you how I did it, and maybe you can do it too. That's what it is. We don't have to look at every success as somehow or another they're thumbing in the face of people who can't achieve a similar goal. But but there are enough people out there that can, that we should concentrate on that, because I think it'll have a significant improvement on the overall health of us, again, as a community. And I think this is really how we have to look at the United States and human beings on Earth in general. We have to look at each other as a bunch of people that could very well be neighbors. We're a community. And if you're my friend and you were fat and you were willing to listen, and I used to be fat too, and I can tell you, hey man, this is what I did. I stopped drinking soda.
But there are people that are. I mean, I understand the point there, and I'm an advocate for plant-based stuff. I think it's a healthy way to do it. But obviously, eating is such a personal experience that I hesitate to ever impart that in any other way. But I just feel like sometimes for people, it's almost more debilitating for that mentality of, this is how you do it. You just got to get your shit together and go through this way. I do think you have to present more options, but know that it's maybe more complicated, and people can be overweight or whatever and be healthy. It's not necessarily, something that's corrosive to them, but.
Well, it is, though. Being overweight is necessarily corrosive. It's not healthy for anybody. It's less healthy than being at an optimal weight. That's what's important. It gives you some sort of a burden. Whether that burden is sustainable is debatable. Maybe for some people it is, for some people it isn't. Look, some people can smoke until they're 90 and they're fine. Other people get pancreatic cancer like Hicks and die in their 30s. It depends wildly on the person. But the idea that you can be fat and you can be healthy, I think, is a dangerous narrative, because you're telling people, listen, don't improve. You don't have to. You can be healthy and be obese at the same time. But the medical science does not really support that. The more weight you lose up to a certain point, but if you get to a healthy body mass, your body works better. It's really simple. It doesn't tax your immune system as much, doesn't tax your heart as much. It's better for you. It's better for your joints. It doesn't mean that we should ignore people that are overweight and pretend that that they're not worthy or they're not good folks.
That's what it is. I have a very emotional reaction to that because I feel protective.
You're nice
over people, and I just. Yeah, I think
you're a sweetheart. It's great. That's a good thing. No, it is. It's the reason why you're thinking like this is because we're talking.
Right.
We're talking about people doing well, and you're like, "Fuck! What about the people who can't do well? Let's reach out to them and offer them an olive branch." And yeah, I get it, man. I get you're right. You're right. Look, I have very good friends that are morbidly obese, and they don't want to listen. And there's nothing I can do. I just hug them when I see them, and I hope that one day they come to grips with it and they change. But they don't have to. You live this life for a certain amount of time, and if you want to live it eating cake and drinking beer, that's you. You do whatever you want. We're all in the end, we're all going to be in the ground. It's all pointless.
Wait a minute. We just had an hour-long conversation about optimistically taking this country and turning it around and got very fatalistic all of a sudden.
Well, that's true. In the end, we're all dying. That's how the story ends. We're all dead. So the story, what I don't want people to do is suffer, and I want people to feel better while they're alive. And I think that's something that's missed in the message of health improvement. It's like you will actually have a better experience on Earth, and it'll help you mitigate stress. It'll help you have better relationships because you won't be burdened down with a lot of like anxiety and stress that literally comes from a physical release of energy. I look at the body like a battery, and I think that some people's batteries are just overflowing with corrosive material because they never exert it. They never blow it out. And a battery is a bad analogy, but there's a certain amount of physical requirement I think your body has. And if you don't give that body that physical exertion, it doesn't feel good. We've evolved to hunt and gather and build homes and survive from predators, and we carry around all the burdens in our body of this past, and there's no getting around that. And you can either deny it and just deal with all the tension, or you can exert your energy, find some way to calm your mind and live a life that's better.
Did you see the video with I don't know when it came out, it's Adam Carolla sat down with Tucker Carlson? Did you see that?
What did they talk about?
They talked about like California. They talked about the homeless epidemic that's here in California and how I'm going to try and quote it right, how he says the government just kind of looks a blind eye because we are a city and a state that lives on permits and parking and licenses, and we just want that money, so it's like if he says something, Forest Lawn Memorial, like how you look across the way and there's all these immigrants and whatnot like selling flowers, but like a woman driving without a license plate, she'll get pulled over and charged, but all these other people. It was kind of interesting, and I hate being like, oh, Tucker Carlson, but it was actually a really interesting interview.
That's probably a good point.
Yeah.
California would care about the homeless if we could get money from them.
If we could get money from them.
Sure.
And on the way over here, too, I was just looking at all these tents, and it's just so fucking sad. It's so sad.
It's really sad, and it keeps growing.
It keeps growing. I live in West Hollywood, and I remember like a couple years ago, because, it went from downtown, and then downtown pushes them all out, so they keep going west. Some go to the beach, some go to Santa Monica. But now it's like I live in an area that, 6-7 years ago, it was fine. But now it's like even on the way to go get coffee this morning, I walk everywhere I go. It's like I saw like three homeless people just outside, just screaming at nothing. They're in tattered clothes and they're dirty and they're, I used to work with a girl years ago at a restaurant when I waited tables, and she's now homeless, and she's like out of her mind, and I feel bad.
Was she always out of her mind?
No. Her name was Lotus. She did yoga, and now
what happened?
I don't know. Did
you try to talk to her?
I did. When it was like I got to watch the progression of the illness. Yes. So I would see her every now and then. I was like, hey, what's going on? Because like back when the recession happened, we were raiding tables, so we bounced from job to job because one day we'd go to work and there'd be chains on the door because they couldn't pay us. So we had this little kind of group that we would go apply together at different jobs. And then I started seeing her out on the street, just walking around. I was like, "Hey, what's going on? I hope you're doing well." Da, 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 da. And she just kind of never let me know how she was really doing. And then like a couple of years would go by, and I'd see her, and I'm like, she looks a little out of it. And I would say hi to her, and she wouldn't respond. And then now it's full on like teeth are missing and running down the street crying, and it just breaks my heart because it's like I don't know what to do, and I don't know if she would be willing or.
How tight were you with her? You had her phone number?
No. I don't even know if she has a phone. I can't.
Right, but did you at one point in time
I
have
think
her
so,
phone
yeah,
number?
yeah. And it's just that like inner guilt, and you're just like, God, how did it get so bad? She had an apartment. I think her parents passed away, and that might have like set her, spiraling. But yeah, I remember just like doing a spot at the Laugh Factory one night and walking outside, and you know how they just keep everyone outside, like you do. and she just like barreled through everybody just screaming nonsense and like she had like teeth missing, and it's just sad. It's just really, really sad. And then I'm at the gym working out, and I'll see her like down there, with her garbage and everything. And she doesn't. It's just sad. It's a lost cause.
When you knew her, she didn't seem like she had any mental health issues?
No.
Really?
No. I mean, she would do yoga. I mean, I remember her. She was always
Lotus?
sweet. Lotus. Her name was Lotus Harmony, which I don't know if that's a real name. But at the time, that's how I knew her. And she was always just this sweet lady, just beautiful skin, beautiful smile, always in a good mood. When she got mad, you were like, oh, man, Lotus is pissed, because she was always so friendly. And and then now you're just like, damn. And I just want... I don't know what to do. I would love to help her because it just breaks my heart. Homeless people break my heart, but female homelessness really, really is sad for me.
Yeah, because we're sexist.
Well, it's.
I feel the same way.
It's just like someone's daughter, someone's wife, someone's just out there, vulnerable to the elements and predators, and it's just it breaks my heart.
No, it's awful, but I think most of what you're seeing with homeless people is people that are severely mentally ill. So you got to wonder, like, what caused... Maybe she was on medication and her insurance ran out.
Yeah.
She couldn't...
Full-on Joker. Yeah.
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 Dude, that's real.
It is real.
It's fucking real. There's a lot of people out there with giant mental health issues.
Yeah. I know several people who... they would have anxiety. A guy that I used to date is like, we dated for a long ass time, but it's like if he didn't have his anti-anxiety, and he got off that. I mean, he would full on have a panic attack, and that would get dirty. And I had to witness that, which was insane.
Yeah, people that lose it because they're off their medication.
Yeah,
that's a sad situation because you're always going to be tethered to this thing that
Good
keeps
word,
you sane.
by the way. You used it twice today.
Did I?
Yeah, you said it earlier before we started.
I probably use it all day.
Yeah.
I just hope it works.
Tethered Tuesday. Hashtag Tethered Tuesday.
It's, like what happens to them if the fucking coronavirus hits and they get locked indoors for 6 months?
And you just become agoraphobic and lose your shit?
Well, we were talking about this the other day that most of what this is all happened from the Reagan administration. During the Reagan administration, they changed the standards of what it means to be mentally ill, and they just released people from asylums because they didn't want to pay for it all. Mm-hmm. And, if LA is a city of 20 plus million people, which is as many people in LA as I think is in all of Australia. Mm-hmm. So think about that. Think about the amount of money and that they can't make asylums here. Think about how many abandoned buildings there are.
True.
Think about how much money would it cost. There's currently somewhere in the neighborhood of 70,000 homeless people.
Yeah, they said there was some statistic that said there's more empty apartments in this town than homeless people.
The thing is, though, that those folks don't just need a place, because they'll fuck that place
they
up
need
and
rehabilitation.
punch holes in the wall
Yeah.
and shit in there and stuff.
Smear it.
Yeah, they're crazy.
Yeah.
What they need is help, and they need medication, and they need counseling, and they need. And some people, I'm not a mental health expert. Some of them you might not be able to do anything to.
Yeah.
Some are so
Just so far
gone, you
gone,
might
yeah.
not. And also they get so filled with despair.
Yeah.
I knew a bunch of guys that were homeless back from my pool hall days. There was a bunch of guys that would hang around the pool hall. They would even sleep on the floor. And, I knew guys that would try to sleep in people's couches. They'd sleep at the bus stops. And then they'd come to the pool hall and try to hustle up enough money to get some drugs. And they were stuck in this place where they could never get past where they were. They were just in a rut, and they could never get out of it. And it was just...
It's heartbreaking.
Despair.
Yeah.
So much despair.
Because you're just like, what happened? For instance, the other day, I'm walking down Santa Monica Boulevard over by Barney's Beanery, and I just hear a... And I look over, and this kid's like, had to be 22, 23 years old. And I was like, what happened? Where are your parents?
One too many auditions. Blew a fuse.
Yeah. Just snapped. If I hear no one more time, yeah, I know.
CIA dropped him, and he's just out there ranting and raving.
Dropped him. I'll show you, Hollywood Reporter.
You motherfuckers.
God.
There are people, though, that you meet in this town where you meet them early in their journey, and they still have hope. Like, it's not worked out yet, but I'm gonna make it. And then you run in comics.
Yeah. That's the thing. I think it's so relatable in our field as well, because you know those people.
Yeah, we do know those people.
I want to say I almost was one of those people.
Were you?
Oh, yeah.
When?
What time? Give
me a time where it was like
2002, and then 2005, and then
really
2000. Yeah, there were several.
I didn't meet you until when? 2007ish.
I want to say, yeah. I think I met you at the Ice House when we were podcasting out there. Yeah, and then when you came back to the store,
that was like 2014.
Yeah, that's when I saw you again, and even then it was like, making it work. And I remember you looked at me and you go, "You're the weirdest gay guy I've ever met," and I was like, "Fuck yeah."
Why did I say that?
I don't know.
We were probably all really high.
Yeah, probably so.
I probably didn't know what I was saying when I was saying it.
Yeah, but I feel like that's. You get through that struggle, and you get through the years of being hungry, and the years of like, can I pay my rent this year? And you do whatever you can to just scrounge everything up and do it.
So you had those moments where you're like, this might not work out. I might go crazy.
Or what's my other option? Move home. Or suicide.
Damn.
Yeah. This town's hard. It's very hard.
Well, it's also, you see so many people that are doing well, right? Like, it seems so far out of reach. Like, when you're broke and you see some guy driving by in a Mercedes convertible, you're like, you see these people going into those big high rises off of La Cienega, doormen there and everything.
But no one lives there.
No one lives there?
Oh, no one can afford that shit. Are you kidding me?
What are you talking about?
There's maybe like, what I've heard is that they build those, and then the Saudis want their kids to come to school here and get an American education, so they just buy them for them. But nobody...
Have you done any research on this, or is this just...
I've overheard some things.